Hi everyone, I'm Stephanie Crawford and welcome to another edition of Mrs. Cford Vlog. If you are someone who follows the vlog, then you probably noticed that I just put out a vlog post yesterday all about having a good attitude because I failed miserably at that yesterday. I'd be happy to know that I corrected that, I learned from my mistakes, and today was a much better day. I am doing the 5 for 5 challenge, so that's why I'm putting out another vlog today. Michael Matera issued the challenge, and I am trying to do a vlog a day for 5 days. That commitment to it helps us maybe see what kind of creative juices we can get flowing, see what differences we might bring into our next vlog, try something new, take that chance. Anyway, if you are not doing a 5 for 5, it doesn't have to be vlogging, but anything. It could be cooking, it could be getting outside and walking every day for 5 days, something that really is going to get you just moving, your creative juices flowing, and excited about it. So that's my plug for 5 for 5. And if you do it, make sure that you tweet it out and let us see it. Okay, today I'm going to try to keep it short because I know sometimes I can go long, but I want to talk about Sketchnotes, and I know we've talked about them before. If you're not familiar with them, a brief overview: we're going to use text and we're going to use icons. They combine together, uses both sides of your brain, synthesize that information. I love it in class. I use it as my form of note-taking for my students. We start at the beginning of the year. We go through techniques and how to make your sketch notes stronger. I do require them to use it multiple times throughout the year because I want it to be a valid form of note-taking as they move on into high school and college and in life, because there's a lot of times when sketch notes will be beneficial. So if you already use Sketchnotes, then you probably have things that you love doing with them. But these, I'm hoping that I'm going to show you some ideas that you might not be using right now. And they are in my literature classroom, but the great thing about these ideas is that they can easily be moved into other content areas. So into science, into social studies. Yes, we can even use Sketchnotes in math. You just have to take that main idea and figure out how you're going to just do that little step to transition it into what you need exactly. So I'm hoping by showing you 3 different ways that I use Sketchnotes in the classroom, especially at the end of the year, so you can see the growth that students make from when they start and they really don't know what these Sketchnotes are. I hope that you'll be more inclined, if you don't already use them, to try it, and if you do already use them, hopefully again you'll find something new here. All right, let's see how quick I can go through here. I'm going to start by showing you how I've had some students use Sketchnotes, not just to plot the entire story, but I've said pick out some important elements of the story, and then I want you to make sure that you tie it back in to show how in this particular story this character's father shows that he has signs of PTSD. Background information: before reading this story, I had students go through, they did an escape room, and they had to learn about the signs and symptoms of PTSD so that when they came to this story, it would make more sense and they could make a real connection with it. So 2 different examples here. This student segmented into boxes. Now, a lot of text for this student, they felt more comfortable with that, and that's okay. They put their icons in, and it does explain clearly how it shows throughout the story that his father is suffering from PTSD. This student, a different way, not near as much text. These type of containers instead, arrows in between that clearly point out how the father is showing that he has PTSD, flashbacks, for example. We're here pointing out that there was a trigger event, okay, that the student has pointed out. 2 different ways to do it there, but both clearly showed me at a glance, without having to read multiple essay questions, that the student understood and was able to connect the idea of PTSD and the symptoms and signs to this story and what that character was showing. A couple examples from Fahrenheit 451. I gave questions for the students to answer like this, but the only requirement was that they put it in sketchnote form. I didn't give any indication on whether I wanted it to be one sketchnote for all of it or an individual sketchnote for each question. I let them decide what they wanted to do. Okay, so an example, they don't have to use all their markers and colors. The student just used pencil, but put an icon with every single answer. They decided to do theirs separately, still show a progression here, answered thoroughly. Again, quicker to go through for me and see, but also for the student to be able to tie those ideas together. Another student used this type of format. Okay, so the information was like going through a chapter. There was a starting point, there was a stopping point, the arrows take you through, The student made sure to point out, for instance, down here, one of the important words in the question was about the irony, so they underlined ironic. Again, icons are tied throughout, it's just a different form that this student felt more comfortable with. Some chose to put in minimal words like this, okay? Clear pictures and keywords that showed where it went with in this, or what question it went with, and that student was able to elaborate on all of their questions and their answers in the discussion. But then you had, even a student like this, then containers where not everything is written, this way on the page. Some are sideways, but that's okay. That's what worked for them. And notice in that one too, the questions were in one color, the answers were in another, the containers were in another color. So they really had an organizational idea for that as well. Another assignment was to make a one-pager, and if you've never done one-pagers, I highly recommend them. They are seen in lit a lot, but easily can be used in social studies and science just by choosing your topic. You just have to give requirements for what you want to see in the one-pager. These really are a form of sketchnotes because you are saying on one page you want to see images that represent this topic, and you want to see words that represent the same topic. So it is a form of sketchnoting. In my particular sketchnote, what I was looking for was for a student to be able to pick out a theme, quotes that supported that theme, figurative language to show the effect of language on the story, and they had to have 3 images at least that tied into what they thought the theme was. So I had a student do something like this. Now this student is very artistic, okay? So clearly she enjoyed, come to that side, she enjoyed creating these. You can see she's got an image back here of the salamander. She's got the hose that runs through the full thing. She's got the fireman right here in his uniform. We've got the fire, we've got the books, we've got the TV, the matches. So more than 3 images were in here, and showed that she clearly understood the topic of the story, the theme, and how it got there through her images and her answers. You had a student though who goes kind of the opposite and is more text heavy, okay? But this student still has the theme written around his border, still has images that connect with the theme. And this is still easy to connect with because you can see the containers here. They're easy to see, where each portion was. I did have them do connections and questions with this, even though I told them that's not the skill that I was assessing. It was something I expected them to do. So they had that expectation. I told them if you don't do that, you'll get it back to put those in also. So we go to a student like this who went very heavy on the images, because sketchnoting is different for everyone. People do it a little bit differently. So this student really went heavy again on the images to represent the theme and lighter on the words, but still was able to show very clearly that he understood what was happening. So I really recommend one-pagers. That was actually a summative assessment, and I assessed on 3 different standards from that one assignment. Now another example of a formative practice though was something like this, where I said from this page range, I want you to go and in the brain that was up here in the protagonist's head, I want you to show what's going through his mind during this time. This student said he couldn't fit it all in the brain, so he used the rest of the head too. Again, I can see clearly when I glance at this if the student comprehends the importance of that page range. This is just another example of that. Okay, this one was able to contain it here, but then put the words underneath. These are really great, also those formative practices that use sketchnotes. All of those examples I showed you were formative except for the one-pager. They're great because they can facilitate group discussions, and if you have a gamified classroom like I do, they can lead into other games like with dice and limiting a group answer to a certain number of words. They use those sketchnotes to help them discuss and in a certain time limit come to that answer. Okay, so I am trying to keep it shorter. I know I still went a little bit long, but I'm hoping that I showed you a few ideas that maybe you hadn't thought of, and that you'll be willing to try. As always, if you enjoyed what you saw, please like and subscribe, or consider liking and subscribing. I hope you have a great day. If you have an idea for sketchnotes that you already use, that you haven't seen here, you can leave that in the comments, and I'd love to hear from you. Otherwise, I hope you have a great day, and that I'll see you next time on Mrs. Cford Vlog.